Guys, my name's Faith and I am here to talk to you today about some math drills and some math games that you can use in your own home, whether or not you are just trying to bridge the gap over the summer and keep their math facts fresh, or if you're trying to add something to your own homeschool day for extra practice, for take a break from the normal math routine, or maybe the day is not going the way that you had planned and you need something to turn the day around. So I'm going to give you some quick ideas of things that you can do to use in your home. Now, the first thing I want to start with are some things for young kiddos. I have a wide age range in my home. I'm working all the way from preschool all the way up to 5th grade. So if you have some young learners who are learning their numbers and are just in the beginning stages of their math journey, these are some ideas for you. So the first thing that I have here is all I have are some cardstock with the numbers in their number form and also in the written number form. And they go from 1 to 20. They're different colors just to have a little bit of fun with them, but I printed them in a simple Word document. I printed them on cardstock and then I laminated them because if you didn't know, you're not a homeschool family unless you have your own laminator. So, you have to get your own laminator, I guess, if you don't have one. All right, so all jokes aside, I made these a long time ago. I think when my oldest at the time was just learning his numbers, and we would practice them by holding them up. We would match the number with maybe however many army men he had, or any sort of thing, how many pennies. So 1 penny, put 1 penny on here. Show me 2 pennies, put 2 pennies on here. Give me 2, we'll get to these in a second, but 2 counting bears, put counting bears. Give me 5 counting bears, kind of thing. And I would lay them on the floor and we would lay 1 counting bear on the 1, 2 counting bears on the 2, and 3 on the 3. Sorry for the glare. So you would just have the different numbers. You could, in the beginning, you're just learning the numbers. So you would go through them and maybe match them up with that same number of items, and you're kind of counting and corresponding the number with how many items you're counting. Once they learn these numbers, I would have them take them, and I would take my stack and I would mix them all up, get them all out of order, and then I would say, take them to the living room and make a train and put them in order. So they are now numbering them from 1 to 20, and they had to go and put them in their order. Once they got them in that order, I would tell them to jump on the numbers, and each time they jumped from one to the next, I could do that because they're laminated, right? They were jumping on them, and as they were jumping from one number to the next, they're saying them out loud. So they're eventually counting from 1 to 20. After they had learned all the numbers, are pretty good at their recognition, what I would do is once they were laid out in order, then I would have them close their eyes and I would remove one and then have them open their eyes. And based on, for example, if I took out 16, they're going to see 15 and 17, and they're going to see this gap in between, and so they have to figure out, okay, well, what number falls in between 15 and 17, and then they could figure out by counting or just easily from learning the recognition of the numbers that 16 was missing. So that was another thing that we would play with them on those. But this again is just a very simple thing. It does not have to be laminated, even though, all jokes aside, I did laminate them. You do not need to laminate them. They could be as simple as note cards or cardstock, pieces of paper, anything that you have lying around. You don't have to even print them. You could use a marker and draw them yourself. So those are something easy to make to just work on number recognition with your kids. All right, the next thing that I want to show you is our counting bears. So this is a pretty cheap resource on Amazon. Obviously, I get a lot of things from Amazon, and I think they're running around $12. It did not come with a glass jar. I added those for easy storage. I think my kids long ago ripped the bag and had lost it. So it comes with matching cups that match the different colors of the bears. So when they're sorting them, they can put the yellow bears in the yellow cup, the green bears in the green cup, so on and so forth. So it does come with cups. And honestly, if you have other manipulatives lying around, Army Men are great, Tiddlywinks are great, Dominoes are great, Cheerios work, crackers, Skittles, candy, anything like that that are small and easy to count. Any of those things can work well when you're trying to count the different objects and just have a manipulative available. Army Men, different things, and stuffed animals even, My Little Ponies. Anything that you have a good number of can be used for counting. So obviously with the counting bears, we count them, we sort them by color, and I'm going to show you here in just one second how we also use our counting bears to learn the basics of addition and subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut away to that video so you guys can see how I do that now. So some ways that we use these counting bears, I just want to give you a quick visual, is we'll have some counting bears out and maybe we're going to do some more stories. So what I might say is, here is a pool and we have some bears. I'm going to have 3 bears jump in the pool and they're now going swimming. And so I've taken 3 bears and then I say, okay, now show me 3 more bears joining them in the pool. And so maybe they'll grab 3 more bears and they'll put them in the pool along with the other 3. And I'll say, okay, well, how many bears are in the pool now? And so we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're doing some addition, but they don't really even know that that's what they're doing. They're just learning a some more story. Or I'll say there are 6 bears in the pool and 3 of them have to go home. 1, 2, 3. How many bears are left in the pool? 3. So now we have some went away story, which is essentially subtraction. And so we're teaching them the basics of addition and subtraction, but they don't even realize that they're learning it, which is a fun way to do it. And the kids, anytime that they can make up a story with the bears, whether they're going to the park or the pool or a movie or going to dinner or wherever, they love being able to play with the bears. One other thing that I want to point out, and this may or may not be helpful, but all of my kids have struggled with counting. So maybe you can relate that they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We have 24 bears because they're counting much faster than they can with the touching. So when I find that my kids are doing that, I make a very concerted effort to have them say one number per touch. So we need to slow down and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're saying one number per each item because all of my kids just would fly through with the counting. So have them slow down and have them touch one item per number. Again, that's just a suggestion that may or may not be helpful to some of you who have early learners. All right, so that's our counting bears and the our laminated number cards. These are 2 really good resources that we have available for my daughter. And it's funny because she hasn't done any formal school, but sometimes when I'm working with her older brothers to do school, she thinks that playing with the counting bears is her school. So I let her get them out during our school time when I'm working with her older brothers, and she'll sort them on her own. She's learned her colors just from playing with them. So it's a good manipulative to have lying around that they can use even if you're not doing anything with them. Actually, as I was getting them out to prepare for this video, my daughter asked if she could play with them. So they are a fun little thing to be able to use. And you'll see I occasionally actually will use these with the older boys if I'm finding that they are having trouble maybe learning a concept and they need some sort of visual. I always have these on this bookshelf, actually right above these pattern blocks, that I can easily just grab, pull out, and use as an example for something that they maybe are having difficulty understanding. I'll just pull out and have these as a visual. So these make a good addition to any homeschool. Once you move from those early ages, I have a couple of different things that we like to use in our own homeschool, and you begin going through some different kinds of activities. So I'm going to grab our next one. The first thing that I want to show is our addition and subtraction flashcards, and they are the 3-corner ones. They go from 0 to 12. And I'm going to show you what I like about these, and that it does not require you to have a separate stack of addition fact cards and subtraction fact cards. You would just need one simple set. So let me show you how they work. When you're wanting to do addition, I would look at the fact behind me and I would cover up the top, and then I would hold this over and I would say 9 plus 6, or they would know that it means 9 plus 6. And the first person or whoever figures it out, they would say 15, and then I would lift my hand and it'd be like, okay, yes, it is 15. The answer is at the top. Now, if we were wanting to work on subtraction, I would cover up either one of the bottom corners. So before they see it, I'm going to cover up one of the bottoms, and then you would say 15 minus 6 equals 9. So it's just depending on what math fact family you want to, or what math fact you want to work on. If you're wanting to work on addition, I'm going to cover the top. If you want to work on subtraction, you're going to cover one of the bottom numbers, and you only have to have one set of these, which is nice. The other thing that I like about these, as I kind of alluded to as I misspoke, was that each of these numbers is kind of showing the math fact family, and that all of these numbers work together. So 9 plus 6 or 6 plus 9 equals 15, or 15 minus 9 equals 6, or 15 minus 6 equals 9. It's showing the relationship of these three numbers so that they know as they see these three numbers in association with one another, that they are a math fact family. So I do like that about these ones. Along with the addition and subtraction, you can also buy the set for multiplication and division. So I'll hold these ones up and you can see as well. So it comes with the multiplication and division fact set as well. And these are on Amazon for like $7 or $8 a piece. The addition and subtraction are a set, and the multiplication and division are a set. And these work just the same as the subtraction and addition ones. If I cover this, we're doing multiplication. 4 times 2 equals 8. If I cover one of the bottoms, we're doing division. 8 divided by 2 equals 4. So they work in the same way. Another thing that I like about these is that I can actually use them as some independent work. I can have my older kids asking them, going through the flashcards together, and it's something that they can do without me because the answers are obviously already on the deck of cards. And again, these flashcards are something that you can easily make at home. You don't have to feel like you have to buy them from Amazon or buy these particular ones. You might have some note cards or just general paper that you can use to make your own flashcards at home. So don't feel like you even have to go out and spend money. Flashcards are something easy you can make on your own. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is something that you can use as an app, and it could be on a phone or an iPad or anything like that. And it's something you don't even necessarily need this exact one, but you can easily download a math fact app that will test them on addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. On this one in particular, they are able to just choose one per. So if I chose addition, we've got 9 plus 3. I click and I can hit find 12 and they'll get it and go to the next one. And then we do 6 plus 5. And obviously if I choose the wrong answer, it shows them that they have the wrong answer. So then we would need to find the right answer. What was it? 6 plus 5. So we would go, oh. So there we have the right answer. And then we're able to move on to the next card. So you would just keep going. I think they're in set of 10s, 10 problems, and they could just go through the math problems. This one is great because you are able to do it independently. So I can hand the app to a child and have them go through 10, 20, 30, however many problems that I would like them to do in one sitting. And they're able to do that on their own. I can be working with another child or doing something completely non-school related. So that's a great benefit of an app. It obviously does depend on the availability of having some sort of electronic, whether that's an iPad or a phone or something along those lines, but they will have to have access to one of those. But I do like that fact that it is independent, and it is self-grading, so that I am not needed in order to do those things. Now, the pros of the electronic also tend to be a con in our house. We are a little more strict in our house of electronic usage. So that is one thing to consider, of how much time, how much usage you want your child to be using. If they already are using an electronic for their math program, maybe a math app may not be something that you see as a pro. So that's something for you and your family to discuss, what's going to work best in your home as an additional resource to use in your homeschool. All right, the next one is you're either going to love or you're going to hate it. So if this one isn't for you, just bear with me. I have a few games that I want to show you at the end, but this is another resource I want to share. And I know some people just don't like them, and that's okay. To each his own, and you get to pick and choose what's best for your child and what's best for your family. But those are just your run-of-the-mill math facts or time tests, okay? You can easily, these are leftovers. You know, I was looking through my son's notebook and happened to find 3 undone sheets of math facts. So I don't know how these slipped through the cracks, but we didn't get to those. So and these that I pulled out happen to be leftovers from my son's math curriculum, but a quick Google search when I was looking will lead you to endless results of just simple math fact sheets like that, whether it's 25, 50, 100 math facts. It can be a mixture of multiplication, division. It can be a mixture of addition and subtraction. You can find all of one. Ours, you know, these are just multiplication here, and then we have some that are just division. So we have a little bit of everything. My younger sons have addition and subtraction. So you can easily I did this to verify, but if you go to Google and you search time test or math facts, you will find an endless supply of different things that you could print off. But it doesn't even have to be that complicated. You could easily take a piece of paper and write down 15, 25, however many problems you want your child to be doing. Write them on a piece of paper and hand it to them and let them go through it on just a scrap piece of paper. One thing that I really like about these, and I trick my older son into thinking that it's really fun, is when he is grading one of his younger siblings' time tests, because he feels so grown up and everything that he is now in charge of grading, you know, someone else's test. But he doesn't realize that he's also having to recall these facts. So if you have an older sibling, it's a great opportunity to let them grade a younger siblings. And you know what? It's a win-win because it gives you more free time. You're not spending your time grading those tests. Now, one thing I want to point out with time tests is those are not meant to cause anxiety or stress. When we first started, I believe our curriculum said to give them a timer, whether it was 1 minute or 3 minutes, I can't remember, and let the timer count down. And when it's done, and they don't need to be worried about the ones that they didn't get. But my kids did. They would get to the end, and as they were learning new sets of facts, they would have not finished the worksheet, and they were very concerned with the amount of problems that they did not finish. It gave them anxiety and it stressed them out, and then they no longer wanted to do the worksheet. So after some thinking about this, I decided that we were going to nix the timer, and instead I just handed them the worksheet. And we used a timer, but we used it in a different way. I said, we're just going to count it up and we're going to see how long it takes. And so we just started it, and they would just work right along. And then when we were done, our worksheets have a little place to put the time. We would write the time on there, and it didn't really matter. I just wanted them to focus on getting the problems right, not as much as how long it took. So sometimes it took 6 minutes, sometimes it took 10 minutes, sometimes it took 2 minutes. It really didn't matter, and we would just slowly watch as we started. The time always started out really high, and then they were able to kind of pat themselves on the back because as they went, as their memorization got better, they were able to see how their time decreased over this period of time, which was great for their self-esteem because they were seeing that they actually were improving, which is the best part of it. So I would say if you have a child who is stressed about time, don't even set a timer. It is not important to see how long it takes them to do it. Just focusing on knowing the facts is the important part. If they want to set a timer, great. If they don't, just nix the timer altogether. All right. Now I want to move to just some more fun games that we like to play in our home. Now the first one I want to share with you is called Shut the Box, or at least it is my rendition of Shut the Box. Maybe you even have Shut the Box at home, and if you do, you are able to play this version with your game. So you would need 1 suit per player and 2 dice per each person. And you'll see as I show you, you actually don't need the ace or the king. So you won't even need those. You can look up Shut the Box on Amazon. It's kind of big and bulky. It's wooden, and that's where I got my idea from, but I realized I didn't want to have this big bulky game, so this is how this originated for me. I came up with finding these things lying around our house, and we were able to make this game with things that we just already had without having to spend the extra money. So now I'm gonna just switch my camera around and I'm gonna show you how we play Shut the Box. All right, like I said, the first game that I want to show you is called Shut the Box, or at least it's our rendition of Shut the Box. So I'm going to show you how it works. For each kid who's going to play, you're going to have one suit of a deck of cards, and you're each going to have a set of dice. And you're going to go ahead and remove the ace and the king because we won't need those. Then each kid will lay the cards out on the floor wherever they're playing, kind of like this. And then what they're going to do is once they have that set, then they're going to go ahead and roll the dice. So here we have a 1 and a 4. What this game, or our rendition of the game, is going to do is have us add those two numbers together. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. So we're going to turn over the 5. Then we would go ahead and pick up the dice and roll them again. And here we have a 6 and a 5, so we add them together, and then we have an 11. So our jack is acting as an 11, and our queen is acting as a 12. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and turn over the jack. And we just keep rolling until we're the first one to turn over the deck of all of our cards. So it's kind of a race, but at the same time, it's working on each kid's individual ability to quickly add and find the sum of the two dice. So we would add them together. Okay, we have a 3. So we've already turned over the 3, so we just pick up our dice and we roll again. And we would keep going until we had them all turned over, or until the first person finished with their deck of cards. One reason we really like this is because not only is it working on the addition facts, but it gives our younger kids an opportunity to occasionally beat their older brother. So they tend to appreciate this game because it does bring into it an aspect of luck, because if you keep rolling the same number over and over, you don't have any more cards to turn over. Another thing, at least with our house rules of how we play, is that in order to get a 2, we don't roll 1. We actually require that you get snake eyes, and you have to roll a 1 and a 1. So obviously that's the only one that would require that. Any of the other ones, for example, a 4 could be a 2 and a 2, or a 3 and a 1. We don't signify on the rest. But it's kind of a speed game, but yet is helping us to practice our addition math facts. And like I said, our younger kids do appreciate the occasional opportunity to be able to beat their older brother, who might normally, if it was just a game based on skill, would not offer them the opportunity to be able to win a game. So they do appreciate that. All right, so that was Shut the Box. And now I'm going to tell you, like, we have a lot of games that we play that just simply use a deck of cards. I'm not going to go over all of them, but if that's something that you're interested in, is seeing how we can play math games using a deck of cards, just make a comment below and I can make a separate video if you're interested about learning some games that you can play with a deck of cards. But there are endless amounts. You can even just do a quick Google search and find games that you can play with a deck of cards. All right, the next couple of games, actually the only other games I was going to show you today. I think I could make a really long video over math games, but I'm just going to show you 2 more. So these are called Board Slam and Wheel of Terror. I have it in a sheet protector so that we can use dry erase markers with them. And again, I'll show you how I play each of them. So I'm going to switch the camera to each of them so I can show you how to play Board Slam and Wheel of Terror. All right, guys, the next game I'm going to show you is our Board Slam. And as you can see, I just have it printed on a piece of paper. It is slipped down into a page protector, and you could easily put it in a page protector or you could laminate it. It is merely, all you need is really this board. So we've got 1 to 36, and it could be made on its own sheet of paper. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to look any particular way. You just need this grid with the numbering from 1 to 36. And this is a fun game. You can use a set of 3 dice if you would like to. It's not necessary, but basically what you're doing, of course, we rolled a couple of the same numbers, so I'll just choose. We have 1, 2, and a 3. So what I would do is when I rolled those numbers, I guess you could use 2 of the same if you wanted, but we have a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So what I need to do on this game is I'm going to use these set of numbers. Once you've rolled the dice, you really don't need them again. It's just to help. It's a way to just choose 3 numbers. So I'm going to use these 3 numbers in some sort of formula to try and get one of these as my answers. So let's see, I'll show you a few examples. That's kind of hard to understand, but watch when I do 1 plus 2 plus 3, okay? We have the answer is 6. So I'm gonna take my dry erase marker and I'm gonna mark off 6. There, I got my answer of 6. So I'm going to move on and I'm gonna say, all right, 1 plus 3 minus 2. So now I've flipped and now I'm doing some subtraction. So 1 plus 3 is 4 minus 2 is 2. So here is my answer of 2, and I'm going to mark off 2 off of my board slam board. And I'm going to keep going. You can do lots of different things. So I could do 1 times 3 times 2. Well, watch what happens there. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Well, I already had it, so there's nothing I can do. I'm going to choose a different one. And I'm going to say, okay, maybe I'll do 3 times 2 minus 1. And I'm going to do 3 times 2 equals 6 minus 1 equals 5. So now I can mark off 5. So you're using you have to use all of the numbers in any form and any formula you would like to use to be able to try and get as many of these numbers marked off of our board slam. So you can also use exponents. So I could say 3 squared plus 2 squared minus 1 squared. So here we have 9 plus 4 minus 1. So we have 12. So we can mark off 12. Here's a quick one. Anytime you do anything to the power of 0, it's always 1. So 3 to the power of 0 plus 2 to the power of 0 minus 1 to the power of 0. That's 1 plus 1 minus 1 equals 1. It's a quick and fast way to get your answer of 1. On your board. But as you can see, you would just keep going until you could get as many of these marked off. How we would normally do is we would set a timer of maybe 3 to 5 minutes. We would maybe compete. I would do my own board. My oldest son would do another board. And you would just compete and maybe see who got the most of their board filled up in that time frame. The goal is not necessarily to find every answer, but to get as many as you can and kind of think outside of the box, coming up with different equations to find as many answers as possible. You might find too that maybe he used this method to get 6 and I used this method to get to 6. And so you can compare of how they each found the answer, but maybe used a different formula to get there. So it's fun to see how people get it, and you can see, okay, well, which ones did you get that I didn't get, and which ones did I get that you didn't get? So it's just a fun way to build different formulas and try to fill up as much of the board as possible. All right, the last game I wanted to show you, obviously, is Wheel of Terror. And basically it's the same way as board slam in that if you want to just make a circle, draw it on a piece of paper, put it down into a page protector, you could laminate it. It could really look however you want it to. It doesn't have to be printed. You don't have to have something in color or anything like that. It could be as simple as you want to make it. But what we're looking for here is just 2 different wheels and the same thing. You can use some dice, or you can just choose a number. This one, for example, we would use 1 to 12. So if I rolled, I'm going to put a 3 here, and I roll here, and I'm going to put a 5 here. And so that becomes the center of our wheel. And say if we want to do addition the first time around. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 plus 5 here, and I have 8. And I'm going to do 3 plus 12, and I'm going to write 15, and 3 plus 3 is 6, and 13, and 10, and 4. And the goal is to go around the Wheel of Terror as fast as possible. So the first time maybe you're doing addition, and then you would go ahead and go over to this wheel, and you would do it in addition as well. But this time instead we're using 5, so you would just add them. But they're different numbers around the wheel, and you're doing a different center number. If you have more advanced kids, instead of doing addition, or maybe you want to work on a different one, you could do multiplication. So 3 times 5, we're going to do 15. Oh goodness, what's 3 times 12? 36. Pulling out the math facts here. 9, 30, 21. You guys are testing me here and seeing how well or how poorly I'm doing on my math facts here. So we can do some of these as well. And you would just go through, obviously I am not going to be doing so well on some of these higher ones right here, but that's why we can do them with our kids. We can work on our own math facts, but these are just great ways. You would just, again, set maybe a short timer, just trying to see how many you can get done in a short amount of time. If the timer is giving them anxiety or stressing them out, obviously nix the timer. Just work on doing the math facts. It's just a different way to present the information that feels more like a game and less like school in the formal fashion. So Wheel of Terror is just another example of a fun game that you can play if you wanted. It doesn't even have to be in a page protector. You could just draw one, make a copy of it, or just use a pencil on a paper and just make up your own each time. But if you're wanting to do it, a simple dry erase marker, page protector, or a laminated sheet of paper works great for being able to reuse the same one time and time again. All right, guys, so that was Wheel of Terror and Board Slam. Again, I was using a dry erase marker, a piece of paper slipped into a page protector. You can kind of use your imagination to build your version of that game any way you would want to. It doesn't have to look exactly the way that I had made it. So those are some games. Those are some ideas if you're looking for extra things to add into your day over the summer, or if in your regular homeschool routine, hopefully those gave you some great ideas. If you have other ideas that I didn't mention, I would love to hear them. A homeschool mom never gets tired of learning new things that she can do and pop into her day to kind of change the dynamic. So if you have a great resource, a great game, great math game, I would love to hear it. Just go ahead and put it in the comments below. Thanks, guys, for listening again. If you have anything else you want me to cover, let me know. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.